Hey everyone, today we're wrapping up my February reading, and this month I read 14 books. Not as many as I usually do, but pretty darn close. I'm still catching up on my arcs being early copies of new releases that are about to come out. And instead of doing a normal wrap up, today is going to be a yes, no, or maybe. Some of these books were amazing, some actually surprised me, and a few, well, we'll talk. If you're new here, hi, I'm Larissa. This is the Perimenopause Book Club, and on this channel we talk about books, but from a 40s plus perspective. Some books at our age doesn't hit quite the same as it does when you were in your 20s and 30s. Brain fog and hot flashes factor in. So let's get into February's book verdicts. First up, Time Will Tell by Hannah Bonam-Young, which is part of the Improbable Meet Cute series that Audible did just in time for Valentine's Day. 90-minute Audible listens that were perfect for somebody like me who has about a 20-30-minute commute. So each way a couple days and it's over. This one follows a Toronto teacher who discovers a time capsule that ends up taking her all the way to England and leads to a sweet romantic connection. This story is only about 90 pages. I think maybe it took 2 days. And honestly, these stories are perfect just for that. They're short, cozy, and give you a romantic dopamine boost without requiring a huge time commitment. I gave this 4 stars, and it's a definite yes if you like a quick, charming little romance. Next is Second Act Romance by Julie Soto, another entry in the Meet Cute collection. This one was about 2 musical theater co-stars who reunite years later and end up staging a fake showmance, which obviously gets complicated. This one was fun. The characters were likable. The banter was solid, and it's a super quick listen. But for me, it landed, I don't know, I would say like a 3.25. So it's going to get a maybe. If you love theater settings and a second chance romance, you'll probably enjoy it more than I did. Next was an arc I received. It Seemed Like a Good Idea by Lauren Blakely. Anytime she has a book out, I'm going to try it. And the fact that I was able to get an arc was definitely. And honestly, the premise alone sold me. He ghosted her once, now he's her bodyguard, he's staying at her farm, and there's only one bed. Romance readers know exactly where this is going. The book has small town vibes, grumpy sunshine energy, mistaken identity, and a hilarious grandma. Banks and Ripley have really fun chemistry, which is even funnier because she constantly thinks she's outsmarting him and clearly is not. She's essentially just flirting the whole time without realizing or intending to. But it's fun, so for me it gets a solid yes. Next is The Best I Never Had, an arc by Amy Buchanan. This book revolves around fake dating twice. Thea and Owen once pretended that they were dating in order for him to get his family off his back at a wedding. And they pretended to be in a relationship, and after that wedding staged this like huge breakup. Years later, they end up getting stuck together again at a wedding. And so they have to kind of navigate pretending that they had broken up amicably in front of all the people. It's, the perfect little hot mess. Our MMC Owen, his little panic, and Thea, our FMC, her kind of feisty personality play off each other really, really well. Honestly, the second half slowed down a little bit for me, and the conflict started to feel a little repetitive, if I'm honest. So this one lands, I would say, 3.25 for me. I'm going to go with a maybe. It really just depends on your preference. It's still a cozy romance, just not a new all-time favorite. Next is How to Cheat Your Own Death by Kristen Perrin. This is another arc that I received, and this is the 3rd book in the Castle Knoll series. This story moves between 1960s Soho and modern-day London, following 2 mysteries that eventually connect. This one keeps feeding you little clues and twists every chapter between the past and the present. Then the final part of the book, I would say the last 20%, speed up rapidly. Even though I haven't read the first 2 books yet, this made me want to go back and revisit books 1 and 2 of the series. So this gets a yes for me. Next, we have another arc, which is Conspiracy by Colleen Coble. This blends romantic suspense, family drama, and danger. There's also a really cool wildlife sanctuary setting, which I thought was a really fun twist. This book is actually the 3rd in a series, and I honestly think that I would have benefited greatly from having read books 1 and 2. I think I would have been more attached to these characters. I just never quite fully engaged with them, if that makes sense. I just never quite, I guess I didn't have that backstory, that build up to what made, them tick. This lands at 4 stars, but a maybe verdict. And I only say that because I really think you should read books 1 and 2 before jumping into this book, which is book 3. Okay, this next book is one of my favorite reads for the month of February. This was another arc, which has since come out, How to Get Away with Murder by Rebecca Phillipson. If this is truly a debut novel, we're about to hear this author's name everywhere. The book is darkly funny, wickedly clever, and completely addictive. The audiobook is especially fantastic because it uses dual narration, and one of the narrators plays a character named Denver who has this wildly unhinged confidence and delivers the most outrageous lines. Just appalling, gobsmacking. Some of them hilarious, some of them horrible, but all of them fully enjoyable as a listen. It's tense, clever, sarcastic, and incredibly entertaining. This one gets an enthusiastic yes. Next, we have The Roses of May, which I just reviewed, which is book 2 in the collector's series, first being The Butterfly Garden. I cannot stop talking about how I'm loving this series, and I've already purchased books 3 and 4. This series follows FBI agents working with survivors of a serial unaliver called The Gardener. The story explores the aftermath and the trauma, the difficulty of healing, while also introducing a new serial unaliver case. It's emotional, gripping, suspenseful, and very character focused. I enjoyed getting to know the FBI agents more in this book than I did in the first, and you really get more of an in-depth feel for what makes them tick, and you start to really feel for how hard it must be to go through what they're going through. I gave it 4.5 stars, so this one's another strong yes. Next, I kind of went into a dark and strange territory. I cannot remember what reviewer I saw recommend this book, but I'm like, sure, why not? I was kind of in between books and just figured I might as well pick something up because I knew it was going to be a really, really short read. This is Entity, which is by Meg Smitherman. This is a mix of science fiction, horror, and dark romance. So kind of up my alley. This story follows a writer who's interviewing this kind of reclusive billionaire who has created what he's calling a pleasure bot prototype. Yeah, think Ex Machina, but even more twisted. And things quickly get strange. This is a short story that dives into technology, obsession, identity. It's well written and definitely intriguing, but it's also a little bit weird in a way that definitely won't work for everyone. I would check your triggers. I would make sure you're in the mood for something that's definitely not something I've read before, but just a little bit out there. So this lands at 3.75 stars, and I would say a maybe. The next book is one of my biggest surprises of the month, Invasive Species by Ellery Adams. I know this author and love this author from her cozy mysteries. Why she doesn't have, I don't know, a Hallmark channel creating a whole slew of Hallmark specials off of her books, I'll never understand because I think she's fantastic. But when I realized this was a dark horror fantasy set in the 80s of all things, I was shocked. Definitely not something I was expecting from her. As an ARC, I saw her name and immediately thought, yes, request it. And then I was completely shocked when I find out it's not one of her cozy mysteries, which I was completely fine with. But wow, it works. The atmosphere is intense and unsettling, and the villain is genuinely terrifying. The story mixes urban life, mythology, and psychological horror in a way that feels completely unique. I gave this a 4.5 stars. It was an easy yes for me. Next is The Heir of Whitestone by Catherine Coulter. This is another arc. Again, this month it was just all about catching up on my NetGalley list. And I was extremely surprised with how lucky I got with so many 4-star and up reads. The Heir of Whitestone combines historical romance with a bit of a mystery. The book reminds me why I used to read historical romances all the time. Catherine Coulter, I think, did a really great job building the atmosphere of the time period. It's charming and immersive. The mystery element keeps things moving, keeps it intriguing. So this got a 4-star and definite yes. Next, I just reviewed this, another arc that has just come out, Lady Tremaine by Rachel Hockhauser. Oh my gosh, so much fun. So much fun. This is basically a Cinderella retelling from the stepmother's perspective. I had no idea what to think going into it. I only read in the blurb Cinderella retelling, and I stopped right there because I did not want to know anything else because I feel like sometimes when you read these blurbs, it just gives away too much. I don't know. I think maybe not if I only read a few books a year, but having been an average of about 100 to, 120, 150 books a year for the last decade, blurbs tend to give away too much for me. I was not expecting to love this as much as I did. Oh my gosh, I had so much fun. It's witty, clever, romantic, and honestly a little bit sometimes chaotic. Honestly, there were a handful of moments where I was laughing out loud hysterically, like obnoxiously laughing. If you enjoy clever fairy tale retellings, definitely check this out. So obviously this is going to be a yes. And finally, we have one of my latest arcs, which is John of John by Douglas Stewart, who is a Booker Prize winning author. This book is outside my usual reading comfort zone, so I went in with a completely open mind. It absolutely delivered. The writing is beautiful. The characters are deeply, deeply layered, and the emotional impact was huge. Even though it's not my typical genre, I can't deny how masterfully written it was. So this one earned a full 5 stars and an absolute yes. So there's the final breakdown for February. My yeses, we have Time Will Tell, How to Cheat Your Own Death, It Seemed Like a Good Idea, How to Get Away with Murder, The Roses of May, Invasive Species, The Heir of Whitestone, Lady Tremaine, and John of John. Maybe Second Chance Romance, The Best I Never Had, Conspiracy, but again, the disclaimer on that is because I really think you need to read books 1 and 2 first, and Entity. And surprisingly, no true no books this month, which honestly feels like a reading win. That wraps up my February reading month. If you've read any of these books, I'd really love to know your thoughts in the comments. And tell me, what was the best book you read in February? If you enjoyed this wrap up and want more ARC reviews, upcoming releases, reading wrap ups, and honest book opinions, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video.